This is a report on information and the couple of genres that especially prize the representation of information, and also about the objectivity effect, which a writer who is writing a report and an evaluation is trying to achieve. So, the first thing to ask yourself when you are taking up either a report or an evaluation or some variant thereof is how and for what purposes and reasons do you want to represent the information? In other words, partly what would a reader be doing with this information, and what are you trying to achieve in terms of representing the information for the reader? So, if your purpose is to organize and frame information, that is to create structures and focuses that will help the reader understand the data or information, then you are writing a report, and that organization and framing is the form of persuasion that a report takes. On the other hand, if you are trying to measure against established criteria, that is, if you're trying to look at a set of data or a performance or a text or something along those lines and use criteria to come to fair-minded and unbiased judgments, then you are writing an evaluation, and that kind of measurement of performances against criteria and standards is a kind of persuasion. Okay, so for both reports and evaluations, a key activity of the persuasive effort is to interpret data. And you're going to be asking yourself, do I want to more overtly, that is openly, show my persuasive stance, which would be more of an evaluation, or am I going to take a more neutral seeming position vis-a-vis the data, which would be a more covert stance, and that's the reporting stance. Here's an example of what I mean. We're looking at, in this case, a game that Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wudunn developed out of their book project and then film project called Half the Sky, which deals with empowering women and girls around the world. So this is a new initiative. It has to do, it's a game that people could play, I think on Facebook. Okay, so a reporter might look at this game and try to outline the facts. Where did the game come from? What's the social issue that it's dealing with? When will it launch? Who's going to use it? What do the developers of the game hope will be accomplished by it? A reporter would ask those questions, find the answers, and then shape and frame it in a way that would be interesting to the reader and useful. On the other hand, an evaluator might take that same set of information, but also look more closely at the game to evaluate it against a set of standards or criteria. So you might be looking, for instance, to see if it is accurate with respect to the facts of the social issue. You might look to see if it's fun to play or engaging. You might see if it's appropriately pitched to the audience it seems to be aiming at. You might see if it, in fact, accomplishes any goals that the developers of the game set out. So a reporter and an evaluator would look at the project, the Half the Sky game, somewhat differently. Each of them would be dealing with the facts, but they would be coming at it with a different purpose and with a different either overt or covert persuasive aim. So both reporters and evaluators need to deal fairly with the actual information. A reporter is going to take great care in looking at sources. This could be primary sources such as interviews or survey data, but it could also be secondary sources such as the research you might do in a library. A reporter is going to take care to represent the sides of a particular social issue fairly. In other words, doing research for both sides or multiple points of view, and is going to take care in setting up the frames and organizational schemes. Frames can really shape the lens through which people see an issue, and an ethical reporter is going to make a frame that's not going to skew the issue to one side or another. On the other hand, an evaluator is going to be looking to set reasonable criteria by which to evaluate the event or performance or text. And then the evaluator is going to be fair in applying those criteria and note exceptions to the criteria so that the evaluation is balanced and offers the reader a complete view of the thing being evaluated. Both reports and evaluations have an agenda of representing information, as we've said. But a report in determining how to report might ask these questions. What information isn't yet widely enough known about the issue? What would be a way to set that information forth that would help people best understand it? But more importantly, why do people need to know it? This is really a key question. What do people need to know, and then how will they use the information? An evaluator will start by asking what texts, events, or performances need to be measured against a standard. And you can do this as you look at your issue. You might ask, why is it necessary to evaluate? Why is that necessary or important? And who will use the evaluation? And I would add also, how? So both evaluators and reporters represent themselves in some ways as characters in the story. A reporter is going to represent himself or herself as a person who's looking at the facts as neutrally and as objectively as possible, while recognizing that none of us can really be truly neutral or objective because we all have interests, bias, and blind spots. But the character of a reporter is going to seek to appear to be neutral and objective. And I would add that your ethical obligation as a reporter is to, in fact, be even-handed and take care to be fair and as neutral or objective as possible. The character of an evaluator, on the other hand, also is going to be a fair-minded person. It's going to be a person who knows what are reasonable criteria for carrying forth an evaluation, and is going to be fair and even-handed in applying those standards. What we hope is that either as a reporter or as an evaluator, that you will be a writer of good character, that you'll be an ethical reporter, an ethical evaluator, and that you'll find these information-based genres to be useful in achieving your purposes as writers.